I grew up in Boyertown, Pennsylvania, pretty much been there my whole life, and it's funny because I live in the house that I've lived in since I was 16. My parents moved out and my family and I moved in. Always just been a community person. I grew up going to a pretty big church that had a school in it. Even though I was homeschooled, was really involved at that church and school, and moved on to my own home community church, which I love being involved in. I love singing on worship team. I love doing nursery and kids activities at the church and all kinds of fun stuff there. So I've been married for 5 years. We got married in Jamaica, which was fun. We kind of just ran off and got married. That was like my first real entire scrapbook album where I was start to finish, did everything boom, boom, boom. I got pregnant pretty much right after we got married. So I have 2 kids, Benson and Genevieve. So right now they are 2 and 3 years old. And they're awesome, and they really inspire a lot of the projects, and I love crafting with them, and they love playing with the Cricut machines and all that fun stuff too. So scrapbooking really started about 5 years ago for me. When I was pregnant, I was really having hard pregnancies. I got really, really, really just head over heels into the whole thing. I got my first Cricut machine, and that sort of changed my world as far as what it opened up, and the Cricut message boards and the different things that were out there and that I was learning about just kind of changed everything. And then I kind of realized there wasn't a lot of help out there for people looking to learn how to use their machine better, or what all the machine could actually do. I spent a lot of time on the forums, and I saw that I was spending a lot of time wasting paper, kind of ripping my paper, tearing my paper, because sometimes the Cricut machine can be a little iffy, to say the least, and can be touchy just depending on the material you're using. So I started kind of cataloging all of my materials and all of my papers, and that turned into the Cricut Cutting Guide over the course of a few months. So the Cricut Cutting Guide was the very first download that Above Ruby Studio ever had, and totally a free download, still is a free download on the website. And it keeps growing every year. More paper comes out. So favorite paper in there now, of course, is Paper Layers by Megan Elizabeth. There's not a lot out there on the Cricut machine as far as education goes. I was searching online trying to figure out different things that it could do. There's all these different buttons on there, kind of what's happening. So didn't really know all that information, but I'm really good at figuring things out, just playing, messing around. Didn't always have the time to do that, which was kind of frustrating, but I can pick things up kind of quickly. Well, I could see just more and more people posting on the message boards and other things, asking questions. I started teaching at local scrapbook stores. I was teaching classes on the Cricut just for fun, 1 or 2 here and there. I really, really enjoyed it. I really got a lot from the feedback of other people, and it just really was exciting to me. So I talked to my husband, and we talked to one of our friends, and he had a camera and big lights and the whole thing, and he's like, well, I'll come over and we'll film Cricut A to Z. So that was in October of 2009, and we filmed it in what was my bedroom, which is kind of funny. We just cleared out the bed, we cleared out everything, we set up a big huge table, and filmed. We started at 7 o'clock at night, and we filmed straight through till 4 a.m. because it was a 3.5 hour long DVD. My husband and I kind of joked, we're like, oh yeah, we'll sell a couple hundred, and we sold a couple hundred as soon as we released it. Within hours we had sold more than we could keep up with, and people loved it, and we just couldn't believe it. So have kept it going. It's continued to be a huge blessing. We've released more DVDs, and that's why we decided to release a second edition, because a lot has changed with the Cricut. There's another Cricut Expression machine that's come out. Different tips and techniques and different things like that we've learned from, as well as what others have shared with us as well. So inspiration just kind of comes from everywhere. One of my favorite things to do, as far as looking for design layouts or elements or things like that, is really looking online, but not in the way that you would think of looking online, as in looking at other designs of cards and different things like that. I like looking at actual ways that websites are laid out, looking at color schemes and fonts and different things in an actual layout of even a pharmaceutical website or something like that. The way they lay their things out is really great for attracting just how you would want to lay out things for on a scrapbook page, or even for a card. So inspiration can come from anywhere. You can walk around your local you know, department store or whatever and see different, you know, standard prints of art and things like that and really be inspired for different things. And I've done several videos showing, you know, just walking around my favorite Target and there's a picture there and we made it into a scrapbook layout. So things like that can really be inspiring and really help people. And it also, you know, you can see trends and things, you know, with media and with, you know, the web. Everything's always updating and changing. So it kind of goes along with the trends and themes of what you would do in scrapbooking as well. Oh, I get creative block all the time. All the time. What do? I usually just grab a piece of paper that, when I'm really stuck, I usually just grab a piece of paper that I like, you know, a color scheme or a pattern or whatever it would be, and take that 12 by 12 piece and then like a Cricut cartridge handbook, and then I kind of go from there. But sometimes it's still really hard, so grabbing magazines is always a great thing. I turn to my design team a lot. I have a design team with Club Ruby designers, and I love drawing from them. You know, I love getting ideas from them of things that, hey Megan, you could try doing this in a video, or hey Megan, you could try doing that, and that's always helpful. And they post tons and tons of projects that, you know, I always get ideas from as well. So make it my own and, you know, see what we can do to work together, because we're a pretty good team that way. So it's cool. As far as where do I start? It really depends. I do something different every time. You know, if I'm doing a Tuesday tutorial, I may just grab a bunch of supplies, throw it on my desk, and see what comes out. There's other times where it's like, oh no, I know I definitely want to use this sticker, and I'm going to use this font, and we're going to put it together, and I have an idea, and I sketch it out. I have sketch downloads and things like that, you know, I use all the time, and I'm drawing stuff. And I even started using my iPad to like use my finger and like draw little things out with. So, you know, it just sort of depends, you know, what I have time for. Sometimes an idea will pop into your head, so you want to write it down really quick and you want to have that on file to go back to. But, you know, sometimes it's just about sitting down, being creative, and having fun. So it's everything for me. You know, it's really funny. When I was just doing a recent trade show, there's a big, huge picture of me hanging in the booth. And I didn't do that. That was the paper guys that did that. They hung this big, huge picture. And there's people that have known me as Megan Grafner. Well, now it says Megan Elizabeth across the thing. And there was actually this one woman at the show, and she was standing there looking at it going, that looks just like Megan, but it's not Megan, and I don't know what's going on. And it wasn't until I went over to her and talked to her that she realized she put two and two together, which is kind of funny. But Megan Elizabeth is my middle name. And we were having, not issues, but people were kind of like, Gravener, you know, what's your last name? How do you say it? The whole thing. And I just like being a lot more personal and being just me. So Emmy, Megan Elizabeth. Just kind of being real relaxed, and it's just who I am. So we just kind of changed it to Megan Elizabeth just to kind of keep it flowing, keep it simple, keep it easier for people to read. And we are definitely kind of like expanding the line, expanding different things. So as it gets bigger, I thought it would be just a little easier keeping it with first and middle name instead of first and last name. Above Ruby's studio kind of started when I was a child, from the standpoint of I was a hairdresser before I did anything crafting. I was a hairstylist, makeup artist, managed a salon, the whole 9 yards. And from the time I was a little girl, I kind of had it in my head I would have a hair salon and call it Above Ruby's Studio. And the term Above Ruby's does not come from my name being Ruby or being above any kind of Ruby Tuesdays or any other thing out there. It comes from a verse in the Bible, Proverbs 31, and it says, who can find a virtuous wife, for her worth is far above rubies. And that kind of starts out and encompasses this whole picture of what a virtuous, upstanding, righteous, loving, caring woman is. It talks about how she cares for her family, she cares for her husband, she is a hard worker. You know, she gets up and she makes things, she makes clothes, and she buys and sells fields. So she has this whole image of just this businesswoman and making others feel good about themselves, putting others first. And that was always what my drive and my inspiration and everything was when I was in hairdressing. I loved being creative with hair, I loved being creative with makeup, but the best part was the interaction that I had with the person sitting in my chair. I could talk to them, I could find out more about their life and what was important to them. And really, scrapbooking is just a huge extension of that, because you're scrapbooking your life, you're scrapbooking your memories, you're scrapbooking what is important to your family and future generations. So Above Ruby Studio just continues in that, to encourage people, to encourage women, men, whatever it would be, and that all kind of ties in together. So I think sometimes people have a misperception of what a Proverbs 31 woman is, but it's something that I definitely strive for, in the sense of it just is to make others feel good and be encouraged, and to live a godly life that is set apart. So I think anybody getting involved with scrapbooking or card making or whatever it would be, no matter what stage of life they're in, if they are a mom that has 2 toddlers at home or infants at home and they're ready to preserve those memories, or somebody that's going into retirement that has the grandkids at home and they want to kind of start preserving grandkids' memories or even their kids' memories or things like that. There's a million different ways to get started, but something that I'm really passionate about is I'm that every woman crafter at home that, I have the kids, I have the life, and that's what drives me is, I'm an everyday crafter. And so I think to get started, something like the Club Ruby that we started and created is for women to come, and men too. We have several male scrapbookers that love to scrapbook memories of their kids, whether they lost a spouse or whatever it would be. They're really talented, so they come on board and they post their projects and they share in the creativity and inspiration. They're getting a kit that really gives them everything they really need to kind of get started and create things, whether it's cards or home decor, scrapbook layouts, and all those things. We really like giving them the ideas with the design team. They have a plethora of design levels and skills that really get people started, to taking them to advanced and more intricate designs. We do the videos that help, and all the DVD segments that get posted on there as well. So that's a really great way to kind of get started, get your feet wet, see what other people are doing. That's always really fun, is being a part of crops and being a part of a community, even if you can't get out to go to a weekend event, because a lot of moms can't. They have kids at home, their husband's working, they can't get out and go away for an entire weekend or week-long crops at a time. I never could. I did nap time cropping. So a lot of moms can do that. A lot of retirees can do that. They don't have money to do that. So stay at home, become a part of a community online really easily and, for free, and get things from other people that way and learn and have fun with it. Favorite products. Well, I guess we could just talk about what's always on my desk, because I have my standard go-to little tote bag of everything that I have to have with me at all times. So if we're setting a die cutting machine aside, because it doesn't really matter which one, I'm using some kind of die cutting machine. I have my white gel pens that I'm always grabbing and going to, because I have to do my little stitching or whatever it would be. So my white gel pens are always on hand. And I like the Signo and I like the Ink Essentials, so I'm not too picky when it comes to gel pens. You just kind of want to find one that works for you. As far as other tools, I always have on hand my We Are Memory Keepers Corner Chomper. Always on hand. I got to round corners. It really can kind of professionalize a card, and it can kind of finish off a photo or a scrapbook layout really quickly and effortlessly. So that's why I like using that. It just gives it your own personal touch or flair. I always have my favorite adhesive on hand, always. That's, there, whether it's ATG, Zig Squeeze and Roll, and now I'm kind of expanding into more and more different adhesives, and I'm learning more about adhesives recently, kind of developing, learning more about what's going into each adhesive, so kind of figuring out what I really like, even more than just buying what I've always bought. So that may change, so people can watch for future references on what favorites are from the adhesive standpoint. But adhesive is everything when you're putting things together. I always have some kind of 3D embellishment pen, like a pearl pen or glass effect gel or something along those lines, that is giving a little bit of extra dimension, but I can stencil with it or do different things with it, different colors. Ribbon is always kind of on hand, quick embellishment, something to throw on, wrap around, tie in a bow, do whatever you're doing with. I have some punches, favorite punches that are on hand, circle cutters, scissors, tonic shears. I love my Tim Holtz tonic shears because they kind of cut through anything and they give you a lot of control, so I like using those a lot. So there's some favorite things. There's a lot of things out there though that you can use, like a score pal, tons and tons of tools that you don't necessarily need, but they make your life so much easier, so they're worth having. And that's stuff that I'm always looking for. I put that in Club Ruby kits, the stuff that makes your life easier and makes you enjoy your crafting more. There are a lot of things coming out with Meg and Elizabeth as far as scrapbooking paper. I know that's already kind of out there with paper layers, but there's a lot more coming. I have a lot of goals of things that now that some things have started happening and opening up. I'm excited for television media. I'm excited for more DVDs that are coming out. I really like listening to being involved in the community, going to different shows, going to different events, and I love getting their feedback because they're always saying, hey, Megan, would you ever do a video on such and such? And it's like, oh, I never really thought about it, but yeah, I would love to do a video on something like that. So getting that response and that feedback is always awesome. So there's a lot of things that come out that, I have my goal of list of, new machines that aren't even on the market yet that would love to bring to people, all that stuff. So yeah, great stuff always on the horizon. So you never know what's going to happen at Above Ruby Studio or with Megan. So kind of keep people on their toes, have fun with it. I have been so extremely blessed by what has come from Above Ruby Studio and Club Ruby designers and everything, because there are viewers now that will send me cards that they've made or a scrapbook layout that they've made, and they'll send me notes that said they learned how to do this based off of one of my videos. That is like the most encouraging, wonderful compliment ever. It really gets to you because they're watching, they're inviting me into their home, they're watching me, and I wish I could be sitting there scrapbooking with them. I wish that we were sitting down next to each other and I could just be there and we were creating this stuff together, but that they actually take the time to send me a card or send me a necklace that they made or whatever it would be. And it's amazing. It's incredible. It always touches my heart. And that's what, I just want to keep giving to people and doing that as much as I can. Not necessarily to get anything back, but it's always so neat to see, somebody saying, oh, wow, Megan, I learned how to do this because of you. Thank you. And then they take the time to send it. It's just awesome.